Happy Friday, Pat. We made it again.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Boy, I just thinking all day that we've been doing this about a year and a half, and we're saying,
2
we
years.
really don't. It 2 years, yeah, and and saying one of these days the numbers are going to change. We kept regurgitating the same thing, and man, it's changing. It is changing, and people, it's time to kind of stay on top of that. We have. And just another example, I usually get on several hours before we do this and look at, today's listings. And now I find that I need to go back to it like a half hour before because we went up by almost 100 listings just from like 11 o'clock. So we've got 11,234 listings, a little bit different than 6,000, right?
Yeah, or even 4,500, 4,600.
I know. And then with the blue lines being the number of listings that come on in the past 7 days, the red line is the number of homes that have gone under contract. So I went and I took a peek at last year. And last year, so today we have 4,865 new listings that came on over the past 7 days, of which 3,298 went under contract. That's a difference of 1,500. It used to be a difference of about 150. But I did a little number crunching. This time last year, 89% of the new listings that came on went under contract. Today, 68%.
Hmm.
Pretty wild, huh? And look at these price reductions. We're up to 3,500. So it's a wild day out there. Wild,
Well,
wild
week, couple
week,
last wild
5 weeks.
month.
Yeah,
Five,
yeah. So lots to chew on. And you had a kind of a wild day in the lending market. I mean, today was good old inflation numbers came out, so that probably didn't have any impact at all, right?
no, no, not at all. That's like that's like saying, yeah, my wife just gave me the divorce papers. Nothing else is going to change with our relationship. We're good to go.
Yeah, we're good. Yep.
Yeah, the look at this now. This is kind of interesting. This 30-year 5%, it was down 53 bips. It was actually down about 94 basis points in the morning, um, which is anything over 50, 60 basis points is kind of a really bad day on the bond market. I mean, we saw the 10-year treasury go to 3.6. I mean, it got to as high as 3.176. It's currently up to 3.16. Barry Habib is saying that, if it gets through 3.25, because this line right here is about 3.25. This resistance, you can see the resistance right here. There's the red, this line. You can see where we got up there, and these resistance lines do really play a role. But now this next resistance is 3.50. So he goes, we bust 3.25. We're going to go to 350 pretty quick on the 10-year treasury. And like I said, this is down 53 basis points. I mean, that's about an eighth of a point. It could be, it depends on lenders, but anytime you have a rate move from say 5 to 5 1/8 or 5 1/4 during the day, that's a big day. Usually the intraday movements that we see with interest rates is if somebody calls me, I'm getting a little wordy here, forgive me, but if somebody calls me and say I'm at 5% today with a closing cost of $600. If rates go up tomorrow, they might call me and they say, okay, it's 5%, but it's $1,600 for this. The cost will go up. That's usually the typical day-to-day movement in interest rates, the cost. But then when you have a nominal rate movement, like from 5 to 5 1/8 or 5 to 5 1/4, those are big days. Those are big days in the bond market. So we're seeing that. We saw. Can you pull the chart back? Let's see here. I mean, like I said, once again, we're seeing this move all the way up here. Where is it going to end? I mean, right now, I'm just going to tell you that rates. Let's just pull this back a little bit here. My rates right now, just to give people behind the scenes look. Right now, This is 5.5 is a cost of $857. Believe it or not, there was a loan officer that's got a friend at another mortgage retail bank here in Phoenix. I'm not going to mention any names. I'm at 5.5 with a cost of $857. They were at 6.5 in terms of their rate. That is
Wow.
from 6.5 to 5.5. This at 6.5, I'd be given a credit of almost $9,000. And this mortgage retail bank was quoting at a par 6.5.
Well, the big
So that's a
question of the day, and Tyler asked it here too. He says, "Are rates going up next week?" And he means the Federal Reserve. They're going to raise rates, and
yeah.
isn't that kind of already an
That's
assumption?
baked
So
in.
it's already
That
baked
that
in.
is already baked in. That's baked in. I mean, we know they're going to raise 50 bips, 50 June, July. Now they're saying September. I mean, what people that's going to have obviously the rates today that were affected were obviously the CPI numbers going from 8.6 is 8.3 to 8.6. It's the highest in 41 years. And as we talked about a couple months ago, rates moving from 3 to 5.5, we're seeing that obviously that have an effect on real estate. But now, remember I told you we talked about this. I mentioned this a couple months ago. It seems to me over the psychology of people, it always takes people about 2 to 3 months to kind of, you know, let reality set in because they want to deny, oh, I can sell my house for $1 million. Now I'm starting to see people and hearing stories. I've seen some anecdotal evidence that, prices are dropping from this one property I had. This one lady's buying, this guy, a couple is buying a house. The seller dropped it from 1.1 to 998 in what, a week. So it's $100,000 reduction. So it takes 2 or 3 months for reality to finally the shock. Like Tyler said, a shock. It's going to shock the system, but you always want to deny yourself. But finally, it's coming around.
Yeah, I think, and we'll. I want to check and show some numbers because I think it'll show you why people are, not in tune with the market yet. And we're seeing here in some of the numbers when I go and take a peek at under the curtain here a little bit in the Crawford data. As you know, we look at the CMI Crawford Market Index, and it's going down like 34% in a week. And that's as an index. And we'll kind of show you how this all relates. But, Fountain Hills just not more than 3 weeks ago was 475. Now it's 331. But look at here in Queen Creek, 162, and Buckeye 143. And zoom up those numbers a little bit, though 100 is a balanced market. So those of you in Maricopa, Queen Creek, and Buckeye that are looking to buy, you're getting a lot more homes to look at down there, and especially in Maricopa because they have a lot of new construction down there, so that kind of dilutes their resale market a little bit. But if you're looking to sell, you need to pay attention to these numbers quickly because you're looking at your neighbor, and your neighbor got 550,000 for their house, and that contract was probably written in the first part of April or first part of May, and it's a whole different ballgame out there right now. And we have just looking at active listings. Let's see. Let me make sure I pull up correctly here. But active listings in Queen Creek, you can see that we're above 2020 levels. And I put 2019 up here in green for a reason because I get asked a lot. Can you show me what it's like before we were told to stay home? And Buffalo Bobby, I'm a high producing retail lender in Orange County. It's dead. It's moving quickly. I hear you. Another YouTuber is predicting 25% decrease in current price listings. I just want a correction. I stay away from assigning a percentage to anything, and I don't know how those other YouTubers can do it outside of just spitballing.
Yeah.
But they could be right. I mean, I could throw out a bunch of numbers, and unless you're writing it down, you'd be wrong. But we're bouncing back up to 2020 inventories. But if I go to Buckeye, show you what's going on here, we're above 2020 inventories. and then the other one was Maricopa, and they're almost knocking on the same inventory level they had in 2019. So that's why you're seeing that Crawford Market Index drop as fast as it is. And here's the sales per month. Now, if you're listing and you think you're going to get the same price that your neighbor got 2 months ago, um, it's time to rethink, because buyers are very savvy, and buyers know right now that there's probably a whole lot of reasons why they don't need to consider your asking price. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe they
Mm-hmm.
could say, "Well, I'm going to ask for a home warranty or have them contribute towards closing costs." Because there's the market index. Check that out. I mean, it is down to where we were at 2020 as it started to climb up from this basement of down to 200. And again, there's 2019. So when people are asking where are we in relationship to 2019 before all this started, we're on all the indicators. We're just about there. Now, I want to put a little asterisk by that in saying that doesn't mean that we're going to see 2019 prices. So that may be where
Mm-hmm.
some of these people are getting that 50% price reduction and stuff, Pat, but I don't see that happening. Um, and saying, is that Crawford report showing numbers for the Whitman area? I don't believe they go that far out. Let me see here. Nope, they don't. They don't.
Right on the
But the,
edge.
yeah, right on the edge. So the story is almost the same everywhere. I mean, Gilbert also has is down to 2020 levels. Here's the cities that they have, from Anthem to the Peoria to Tolleson. So I don't see Whitman anywhere on there. So here's the big question, Pat. So next week, and you showed that chart, and we hit a little resistance, and we come back down. Um, let's say by Wednesday, are you saying lock your rates now, or do you think that there's going to be just a little bit of a pullback? Because we always get that jolt and then it pulls back. So do you think that that midweek you might be advising people to lock?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's obviously today's not the day to lock. I mean, it depends on your period. Whether you're 30, 60 days out. The jolt we saw today was that was the kick in the pants. So next week when there's going to be some numbers. Obviously, the Feds are meeting. I don't think they're going to come out with anything, um, that we don't know. They're going to raise. That's kind of baked in now. The 50 bips, the 50 bips, the 50 bips. Um, but can you show? I want to just talk about real quickly. Well, I actually go back to your question. I think we could see a little back end filling, but there was no resistance to 350, so we could see on the 10-year. So we could see rates. I mean, nobody's got a crystal ball, but just based on my experience, another quarter, 3/8 of a point. I mean, a lot of lenders right now, like you said, I'm being a broker. I'm at 5, but like I said, there's some retail banks. Obviously, they're quoting 6.25, 6.5 now for rates. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's hearing too that if we hit 8%, that's going to be it's not it's not going to be good for anybody. I
No,
mean,
and then of course we also want to let people know that when you're online and you're shopping for a rate and you see that headline, make sure you scroll over and see, because we looked at one today that was five something, but then it said 2.4 points, $4,000, which is on an average price home. So there is always devil in the details. So, and I was on with a gentleman named Dan Frio last night out of Chicago with a lender, and he had one of his lenders there with him, young man, and we joked about what you and I joke about, which is, Pat, what's your rate? And they said, in order before to give you a rate, he said, it's frustrating because I need stuff from you. And he says, and that's when they just say, okay, I'll call somebody else, and they move on. And they get
yeah.
10 calls a day. That simple question, what's your rate?
What's your rate? Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, Dan, I think I have been telling people. I said the trend is not your friend right now. I said depending on your life, you got to close in 30 days. You're not going to see much reprieve in any given day. That's going to give it. It's like, oh, I can go from 5.5 down to 5. You might save a little closing cost, but right now, obviously, the trend is not your friend. And I I personally think, like you said, I can give just as much of it. I feel qualified. Once again, you probably heard me say, if Janet Yellen can get that it that bad on the inflation. Like she had to apologize for not getting the inflation stuff right, and she doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Oh,
That
she's
gives
got
me crazy.
another apology coming.
Yeah.
Because she came out yesterday and said there will not be a recession, and we've already had one quarter down
Yeah.
1.5%. All
And
we
just
need is another quarter, and we're in a recession. So recessions always look in the rearview mirror, don't they? They show you the
yeah,
data from last quarter.
exactly.
Evidently,
So I
she
mean, yeah,
doesn't look at it. So I don't
that's
know.
why I don't trust anything. It's almost like the stuff. That's why I like I've got to watch the news because I want to hear what they're saying. Because it's almost like if you act like a contrarian, like I mean, look at this. For 2 years, there's the transitory inflation. Well, we saw it in our day to day world that crap was going up in price, and they're still saying that it's just what Tyler was saying. Do they need to raise it higher than inflation, like 8-9%? That's what they say they have to do is to counteract uh, um, counteract this. But my take on this is, I mean, this is just me, Pat McMasters, and Chandler, Arizona. Things are
Yeah,
going to be, as I
figure out where
said
you're
at the
at.
beginning of the year, it's going to be, huh?
I said,
What's
figure
that?
out where you're at.
Yeah, yeah. I said, in January, this is going to be a tough, choppy year, and this is just going to be a gird your loin type of year. I think, it's going to be tough until the elections. I mean, until we get some type of movement off this regime to do something about it, because oil and gas is what's killing this whole. I don't care who, they could say the oil companies are. I'm not going to argue that point. They're basically basing on everything on economics. They got shut down. If the new administration or this administration would say we're going to take care of oil and gas in the next 10, 15 years, this is what the oil and gas is doing right now. They're putting money in their pot coffers right now because they don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. It's all economics.
Yeah,
But
there's three pillars right now I think that are hurting us, right? So it starts with oil, food, and interest rates. So we
yeah,
get a handle on that. It's just not looking good.
if we get a handle on oil and gas, I mean, you look at these truckers, what they have to do. Everything is just, let's just face it, everything surrounds oil and gas. So if that comes down, then things are going to start obviously easing on the overall picture. But yeah, I think they're going to have to push rates hard because, like you said, they're putting bullets back in the gun so that once things slow down, they can actually ease rates.
Well,
And
here's what
this
Bloomberg
Fed's
said.
talking, huh?
Have you seen this? What Bloomberg said? Based on simple relationship between the 10-year treasury yield and 30-year mortgage rate, the 30-year mortgage rate will peak around the current level. This is when they asked the question, how high will mortgage rates rise? Although there is
Mhm.
some variability in the relationship, the simple method suggests we might see rates as high as the low six range. And here's where it gets funny. However, as lawyer noted, the relationship is more complicated than simple method of comparing the 10-year treasury yield, and it also depends on future inflation and the terminal Fed funds rate. So 30-year mortgage rates could move even higher. So that's answering a question without answering the question.
Yeah,
How high are
yeah.
rates going to go? Could they go higher? Well, it's like, well, they could, they couldn't, and it depends on what you're looking at. And this and they could, maybe not. But the writing's on the wall to me. I mean, every metric I'm following in real estate says right now, this by the end of this summer, mark my words, balanced market, bidding wars are done, bidding wars are over, and sellers, you're going to have to sharpen your pencil. You're going to have to be correct in your pricing. So, how would you price a home in this market, Pat?
Well, you cut out on me. What?
I said, how would you price a home in a market like this?
Well, there's bears,
At
bulls,
market.
and pigs get slaughtered. I literally would. If people are trying to hold out for the last dollar, you got to leave money on the table for the next guy. Has always been my theory. You can't eke out the last dollar. You got to, to answer your question, I would obviously listen to my agent and not. You can't base it on emotion and based on the last 3 to 6 months of what's going on. You just got to be real. Um,
Well, you and I talked about this a lot too, and I was talking about it yesterday. And there's and it's not just one company, but there's these commercials out there that go, "They got me $50,000
oh
more
yeah,
than the market value of my home," and I'm like, well, then that
yeah,
is the market value of your home. You don't have a market value of your home until buyers tell you what they're willing to pay for it.
yeah,
That's your market value. So all that means is that you put your home on the market for a certain price, and people got so interested in it that they said, well, no, we're going to pay more because it was a bidding situation. So there was nothing miraculous about it. It wasn't a marketing program. It's just that price point didn't have enough listings to pick from. So there were a lot of people interested in your home, so they bid it up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your next door neighbor now is going to see that you got what you said was $50,000 more than the market price, but your home is probably that market price is now pretty much the established price for the neighborhood, but you're only going to get that if you get the same amount of foot traffic and the same amount of multiple offers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard part because you there's all this press, there is neighborhood chatter that makes people feel even today that as soon as I list my house, I'm going to have 30 people who through here this weekend, and I'll bet you I'm looking at multiple offers on Monday. That party's over, except
Yeah.
certain price points, certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
I went to one in Gilbert last weekend, open house, and Saturday was packed. I am sure that they had multiple offers to review that Monday, so it's still out there. It was a pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
looking place. And Buffalo Bobby says, I respectfully believe we could possibly see home prices at the pre cough levels. You know, there's a reason we don't say that on YouTube, based on the trend of the economy. Um, yeah, they actually limit your views if you do. So that, yeah, it could be. It could be. It depends on how long this squeeze holds on the price of oil. And, open house traffic's down. Why? Who wants to fill up their car to go look at open
Yeah.
houses?
Yeah.
Honey, let's go look at open houses. You got $90? So,
Well, I
and
think keep.
hey, thanks, Peyton. What do you
Oh, that's
think of the
cool.
homes in the market 100 plus days? That I think the sellers are, that's my price.
Yep.
I'll get it.
Yep.
Don't give me this news that the market's going down. That's my price. You're on
Yeah.
100 days. That's what's happening.
You're gonna have these stubborn guys that are just they're like they just put their arms like I'm gonna get my price and I'll be damned. Um, it's it takes a while for people to shake up. What's going on. 3 days.
Yeah, three days sold. It's just it's a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could done the same thing. That's the reason that you see so many coming soons out there right now. Is that's part of their marketing plan is to put it on the market on Monday, let it ride, tease you that it's coming, and then sometimes they raise the price before the weekend. But anybody can do that. There's a website out there now that says see it before it's listed.com or something like that, and that it's a website that pulls coming soon listings. And look, I applaud them for trying different stuff. I'm not beating them up. um, Tyler or Buffalo Bobby, I'm in that camp too. Things are changing too quickly. I'll overshoot downward and then come back. It's I've seen this before where things really clamped down quickly, and I got caught in the middle of it. Southern California, when the defense industry really had all these cutbacks, so
Mm-hmm.
economically they were really taking it on the chin, and I had a major pullback. That what people are wanting us to say is, what's the effect of real estate if there's a recession? And that's an impossible question to answer. How deep is the recession? How regional is it? And how long is it? Until we know. So we're going to look in the rearview mirror to see that. There's no
What?
historical data, unless you've seen it, Pat, that says a recession that says we're down 5 GDP for 2 quarters affects real estate by this much.
Yeah. Well, hold on a second. I got it right here. Hold on. Let me pull it out.
There it is. There it
There
is.
it is. Right here. It's right here.
Hmm.
No, here. Go to go to this chart that I have.
Okay. Hey, what do you think of this first? If you watch any local TV and they have tons of ads offering to buy your house, you think that'll stop unless those commercials were paid a month ago? Those commercials were paid a month ago, but investor traffic is still going on out there and they're buying your home. But there's one little change I saw yesterday. OfferPad is offering a 5% co-broke to real estate agents.
Interesting. Yeah.
5%. They used to be 2.5. They've doubled
Yeah.
the commission that they're willing to pay you, and they have a $1,500 bonus.
Yeah. I mean, you're seeing. I got to thinking this morning. Okay, people say inflation's hitting 8.6. The highest in 41 years, and I think the average person, maybe it's, the millions of people are watching us. And we could spew all this information. Correct me if I'm wrong, but where do we go from here? What is going to be? I mean, everybody wants some type of prediction. Try to, like you said, we're just trying to present the data as it is today. But it got me to thinking, like, okay, we're at inflation 8.6, and I personally think that's a bunch of hogwash. I think it's higher. Rent's going up 25%. Everything, this 8.6 is just, I don't know, I know they got that's a technical number, but I personally, my gut is inflation is probably running 10, 12, 13%.
Yeah, it
really
doesn't
want,
feel like 8.6, especially when I go to
no,
the gas pump. I am
the
so
gas,
ticked off at gas prices. I just
oh, it's,
it just gets
oh,
me wound. I need to start another YouTube channel just so I can rant. But I
yeah.
it there's no it. I mean, you know, I saw Nixon do it in '73. We had the Arab oil embargo, and it was a classic example of a president that didn't know what he was doing to get us out of it anyway.
Well, here it is
Uh,
right here. Okay. It's 1972. Inflation rate was 3.2. It shot up to 11% in 70 by 74. Okay. And then 74 to 76, it went from 11 to 5, right? And then in 76, it went from 5 point. This is just a chart that I pulled up off the internet. 5.74 in 76 to 1980 of 13 and a half. That was a 4-year run. The reason I'm
okay, so
bringing this
you know what?
chart,
Yeah, go ahead.
the reason I'm bringing this chart up is, okay, we ran from let's see here, about 1.5%, 2% up to 8. This is obviously an old. This chart doesn't go. I don't know if it goes on any further. It
Yeah, it
might.
looks like it only goes to 2020.
Yeah, I mean, but 2022 for some reason it says here up here. I guess my point of bringing this chart up is, okay, we're here. How long do you think we're going to stay here? Because a lot of people are like, oh, inflation is going to, once again, these yahoos that are, the Yellens of the group and all that. These guys are just blow me away. And remember, you were talking about the fact that out of like 9 Federal Reserve, there's 7 out of 9 have never had any real world experience. These are all
Yeah,
academians,
yeah.
professors. Anyway, so I just don't trust. I mean, I look at psychology and the numbers, talking to people, and to go back to that chart though, I mean, it took us from 76 to 1980 to go from 5 to. I'm just giving something for people to chew on too. I'm not trying to come up with answers. I'm trying to come up with answers. But how long is this? Are we going to be at 8.6, 9% inflation? Question, we could be here it's not going to go away. I guess my whole point is it's not going to go away overnight. So that's the way you have to kind of project yourself, is like, how long are we going to be in this inflationary mode? Now, does a new regime that comes in, it gets voted out and voted in November, do we have something happen there that kind of loosens things up? I tend to believe that things are so bad that people are so mad that they're going to vote the opposite across the board. They're just going to, we need a change.
Well, run for the hills if you hear the words price controls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that never solves anything. And I think,
So,
free market forces do. But I mean, in Nixon was a classic example of price controls that don't work.
yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
guy was an economic. He took us off the gold standard,
Yep.
and then he said you can't get a raise. He figured that if he held wages down, then inflation would come down, and it made the opposite. And that's why you see that spike up there where it did.
Yep. Yep.
So
I just
right
wanted to
now,
pull this chart. I just want to pull this chart up to say, okay, inflation is here. How long is this? It's like the mother-in-law. How long? Okay, she's here. Is she gonna stay a month? Is she gonna stay 2 months, 3 months, 6 months? How long is she gonna stay so I can kind of
that'll
adjust my
change
lifestyle?
everything.
How long before I can adjust my lifestyle before I have to get out of here? So, I mean, I think you have to look at inflation is going to be here. I mean, until oil and gas loosen up, I mean, it's going to be a tough road. So, I'm just trying to give people something to think about. Does that cause a recession? But homes have done well. So it's going to be tough on rates. But I think eventually Barry Habib is saying that by the end of next year, that rates, we're going to see, he's predicting that we're going to see rates back in the 3% range. It's hard to
Well, I
believe, but
I honestly hope we don't get there too soon because that'll
yeah,
I welcome this move to the balance market. I really
yep.
want the audience to understand that,
This is not a
everybody's,
bad
oh,
thing.
no, realtors, you guys, you just really love it when prices are going up. No, that has nothing to do with it. It just, if when people want me to show them a house, I hope that they can take their time making the decision. We can get an offer written that's good, that gets accepted, and everybody makes rational decisions. It's not fun to go out and be number 20 in line waiting to get in the house. I mean, I remember going to
No,
one house with my clients one time, and this agent was allowing overlapping appointments. And this one agent comes, she goes, "I had 11:15." I said, "Well, so did everybody else." She goes, "Well, you guys can wait out here till I'm done." I said, "We'll see how that works for you." She opened up the door, and everybody just went in. And but that's not a fun market,
no.
real estate doesn't have to be
We needed
fun,
something
but
like
I
this
think,
to kind of kick it. We
yeah,
need something
it
like this
needs
to
a kick
kick
in the
off.
butt.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Um,
not fun, but it's we needed something to get off the snide.
Airbnbs, if you own one, pay close attention, because like what
The Tyler
Tadams,
T.
seven
Adams.
seven T Adams, it's going to hit the vacation market. It could, unless you're, you know, I mean, it's altering my vacation plans. I was going to do a 3,000-mile trip this summer. There's no way because gas is already approaching over $6 a gallon where I was going to go, and I mean, I went up to Prescott this weekend, and just the trip to drive to Prescott, towing my travel trailer, probably cost me $90. So not that I'm that cheap, but if you're going to go 3,000 miles, that's an expensive trip.
Yep.
Um, well, running it out, that's okay if I don't go to McDonald's. That's probably okay.
Eight
So,
dollar eight
so I
dollar
think,
hamburger. Yeah.
yeah. So I think, that if we approach a balanced market by the end of the summer, I think this summer is going to be probably more painful for sellers um, when it comes to making pricing decisions.
Well, yep. And I think too. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's going to be a buyer's revolt from the last year and a half. Buyers going to be like, you know what? Screw you guys. You've been screwing us over the last year and a half. Now it's time for us to sit at the table a little bit.
Well, and
Correct me if
my
you
advice to
think.
buyers is this: I mean, look, you're probably not in a position yet where you can lowball anybody. I mean,
Yeah.
just not, because remember that the market has to take time to adjust. So we've got the inventory. The inventory is still low. It's only 11,000. So normal's 27,000. So you can't lowball anybody yet. But I will say that now's the time when you look at a price to go ahead and question it, and
Yeah.
don't make this mistake, because a lot of buyers do this. They go, "Well, I'm going to wait till that price comes down." Well, if it comes down, now you're not the only one that wants it. So, what is that price you want it to come down to? Go ahead and make your offer and see if you can get a counter offer. And so,
Mm-hmm.
get in the game, get it going, but don't wait for the house to come to you. Make your offer,
Yeah.
make you go to the house.
Yeah.
That's just a better way of getting it
That's
done.
deep.
And
That's
so
deep.
it is. And now I'm really tired. I'm going to take a nap or something. But it costs between $30-$40 to eat lunch out for my husband and I. Support little mom and pop joints. No kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
That's my biggest thing is support local people, local businesses. I mean, I'd rather go to an Ace Hardware versus a Walmart, or go to Joe's, uh, sandwich shop. I mean, yeah, you got to definitely. That's huge. I think that's huge.
Harry. I was going to come back through the Oregon coast on my trip, so that was where I was at. I was going up to the Olympic Peninsula and hang out there most of the summer and do my real estate from there. But I'll probably be making. I tried to go to San Diego, go to Mission Bay, and I put in this RV park. It's right on Mission Bay, and I said I want to
Mhm.
stay 5 days, I think it was, and it's $1,500. I said
Whoa!
now I don't want to
What?
stay 5 days. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I said, well, I guess I'm not
What?
going. Yeah, yeah.
Christ, why you get a hotel? You get a Four Seasons hotel room for that?
Well, probably not now, but
Probably not. I'm just,
so.
God
Well,
Almighty.
look, everybody,
But
watch the numbers closely and
yep,
watch the rates. And we say real estate doesn't move fast, but the trend is obvious now. There's 2 weeks doesn't
Yeah,
make a trend, but we are in a down
I think
market
we're.
now. There's
I
no
think the
doubt.
water, the temperature of the water has changed, and you just. I mean, once again, people fight that thought, but you have to just come to a realization. Okay, now we're in a change market. The last 3 to 5 weeks, and it's. I don't think there's gonna be. Oh, I'm gonna wait to the bottom, like we always say. There's no gonna be. Nobody's gonna ring a bell at the bottom. But this is now a good entry. I mean, for people to really consider if they want something, the buyers. I think this is, you know,
Make your summer plans. So where inventory is today. It's 11,000. You know that normal's 27,000. And so make your summer plans and watch the numbers and say, I think if it gets to here and if this price point goes, because some of these price points are really in towns, they're starting to get some pretty good choices in them. And if, as long as you're
mhm.
focused on where you want to be, you may have an opportunity. And the other analogy I gave the other day was, when am I going to say there's a crash coming? Well, if when I see the numbers, right now I'm seeing an adjustment. And so I
Adjustment. It's an adjustment. Yeah.
remember my skiing analogy. I said, if I'm skiing down a hill and I want to stop at the lodge for hot chocolate and I'm going too fast and I'm going to blow by the lodge, I'm going to be going, look out, look out. And so if
Yeah.
we see data that approaches that type of an attitude, then you're going to see it here with us. And you won't have to worry about whether or not we're going to have a crash, because if it looks like we're going to have a crash, we're not even going to have to tell you. You're going to see it in
No.
the numbers. So
Yeah.
anyway, have a great weekend, Pat. See
All
you
right.
here next Friday.
All right. See you,
Everybody
everybody.
say bye to our millions and millions of viewers.
Exactly. Take care.